Today I'm here with canicross world champion Tessa Philipearts. Welcome.
Hi.
And today we'll be talking about habits. Now that the holidays are over and it's soon time to get back to the normal routines, back to work, back to training maybe. Many people might be looking into, maybe starting up a new routine or starting with a bit new habits.
You're listening to Unleashed by Nonstop Dogwear.
Our first question, what is a habit for you?
For me, a habit is something you create. It takes a little bit of time before you have habits. So it's more like daily routine, things you always do in a certain way at the same time. Something like this. And it's something that almost comes after a while automatic. You don't have to think about it anymore. Everything goes very smooth. Even with the dogs or in your normal daily life without dogs, it just comes naturally. So in the end, you don't think about it anymore. It's just a habit.
Yeah. Here we will be talking not only about like the training related habits, but there is a lot of things that we do with our dogs that is just like habit. And maybe do you think it's easier for them to learn things or to stick to certain things if you do it as a habit?
I am a mother, so I think about kids and dogs. They really like habits, so they thrive also when they have a daily routine and they know when things are happening. At the same time, if you have a routine with the dogs, I feel that they know what is coming. So maybe also at the same time, it becomes almost a bad habit to have a habit. Because they, if you every day feed them at 5 o'clock, they will start to cry 5 minutes before.
Yes.
So there's different things we can do about that.
Because at that I recognized with my own dogs, I moved and then suddenly starting to feed them at the same time. Not on purpose, actually. It was just like, part of our daily routine, because after work we got home and like how it worked out. And then after a while, half an hour before, they started whining. So then I realized that, okay, now we're building actually a bad habit. And so we changed it up. But I do believe that the consistency and having habits with dogs can help a lot with the training. Are there any habits that you consider necessary for like a successful canicross training?
I think it also depends on how many dogs you have. If you have only one dog, it's very easy to handle. But if you have, like us, we have 4 dogs at the moment. So just for daily life, just everything for them is a race. So just opening the door, they're just barking and going out. So even with stuff like this, we're just making them sit and wait. I open the door. If one moves, I just close the door again.
Yes.
And the one that's calm first, we are working very hard on calmness. So the one that's calm first, I call their name, then they can go out like this. And we do it every day the same. And it's also with like food, they need to sit. We are very much working on calmness because with 4 dogs, we need to do a lot of this. So to make daily life easier, it's very good to be consistent. And this is just, for normal life, this is not even for training, canicross. But for canicross also, we have a routine that we are watering the dogs, we are warming them up, we are cooling down, we feed in a certain time frame before and after our training. So we have very many habits for them also.
Because I see it, I didn't think of these as habits, but they have in a way the same challenges. Because in the beginning, for example, like with the training with the calm things, very often you have to just like with lineups, stand there and wait until they calm down. And it's so annoying. They are loud, they are not behaving, and it's very tempting to just like give in, like, I just want to be done with it, like let them go or let them run or just get over with it. And it's the same with habits. It's like, I feel like whenever you're trying to build any personal habits, at one point it's just like, it's just so much easier to give in. So I think we can learn a lot from the dogs that like consistency will give results.
Yes.
And I see it also helps a bit with like managing the daily life. Like you were mentioning watering, and it is becoming a habit also for the dogs. Like I see it on them, if they get not their morning food, but the water, they know that's like, okay, something will be yummy. Yes. But it helps me too that when I know that, okay, in the morning I will train the dogs, I don't even have to think and like count back that like, okay, oh, then I have to, it comes in a way automatically that's like, okay, but then the alarm goes earlier. And then I have to first order the books. It helps with like, yeah, just the training and everything that these habits are built in. But do you have any tips on how to actually build up these habits for yourself?
For yourself, not for those.
Yes.
Yeah. I think it's also just sometimes you, like you say, you have to be a little bit like tough with yourself. And I understand that it's very important to listen to your body. If you're tired, you shouldn't go out and stuff like this. But some days it's okay to push yourself a little bit and go out and set, like, I think the easiest is to start with a reachable goal that you set, and you say, like, for example, I want to start to train 2-3 times a week. Set up a goal. It's easier to build on your habits than to start too much and cannot reach it, and it's not achievable.
Yeah.
So
It's give up straight away.
yes.
Yeah. It was a failure.
Mm-hmm. And then it doesn't really become a habit, because then you're cutting down. If you start to train 5 times a week, you cannot do 5, then you have to go maybe the next week to 4, 2, 3. So it doesn't really become something that you can continuously do. Also, the most important is to continue doing this for a long time. So if you set up a goal where you go from 0 to world champion, for example, then it's super hard to stay motivated after this, because you're just going to burn yourself up for one season. I know everything about that. And then you're demotivated or completely burned out. So the best thing is actually to set up something achievable. Even if that's 2 trainings a week, then it's better to train 2 times a week for 10 years than to train 5 times a week for 6 months and be out for 2 years. So I think that's one of the most important things.
When I was as a child an athlete in a different sport, and there it was very easy because we had like a trainer, we were followed up, so I feel like it was a lot easier. And once I was left on my own to go an adult, and then to do it on my own, I found it just a lot harder to get into the habit. And at the beginning, sometimes I struggle with some health issues. I have ADHD, so sometimes I'm just like completely burnt out. I really have to learn to listen to my body and try to figure out, like, okay, is it now one of those cases that I actually feel bad, I am starting to get sick, or my body is just like crying for help to rest, or it's just like my mind wanting to chill on the couch and, I don't know, watch Netflix. So what I thought was kind of a good way to do it is just like, okay, just put on my clothes and go out. And maybe start with 5 minutes walking, a bit of jogging. And if after 10-15 minutes I still feel like, nah, this is not good, turn around, go home, chill. If like once I got out the door and like actually accomplished the goal of getting out, and I think that is the hardest, like from the sofa to the door, not from the door to the end of the training. Yes. So it oftentimes it's like, okay, this was just a mindset. I can now do my training, but this can be maybe a thing for some people that struggle with this to differentiate, because sometimes it is very important to listen to the body. And as you said, then like if we push too far, we get injured. It's like it's not good for anybody.
No, it's also good to just like adapt. Maybe instead of going for an interval training, if you are very tired, just go for a walk. Then you have been outside, done something, but less intense. So there are so many ways one can be active. And with me, one of my principles is also like, you should never try to catch up with training. Yes, you cannot catch up with training. So I would rather cut out more, take some extra recovery, and just continue with programs.
I am the worst, like with this thing. I was just sometimes just laying there. I feel terrible. I couldn't do that day's training. Like, then tomorrow maybe I can do twice as many kilometers. I still like hit, the weekly kilometer count that I want to, and it's just like my it's not working like that. But you were mentioning that you kind of burned yourself out before, and I also know that you had your fair share of injuries. You had a pregnancy that didn't let you be so active. And obviously when you cannot do your habits for a long period of time, and you you get out of it, so it becomes not a habit anymore. So what is your experience with this, and do you have any tips on how to get back into habit after such habit?
Yeah, it took some years, as you know. Now I think my daughter is 3 years old. So the last 3 years I have not competed that much. I tried. So each time in summer I have like this, I call it kamikaze training schedule that kind of works, but it also just burns me completely up. So I can get in some kind of okay shape in 3 months, but then it just takes so much on my body. My body is actually not ready for that volume of training. And afterwards I just get completely burned out. Also just with like the fact that you just had a daughter, I felt the pressure. Like I always hear people saying like, oh, when you have been pregnant, you're gonna be really strong and you have to like use that moment. Then because but I didn't feel very strong. So I just got really sick, and each time I tried to train and build up a habit again, then each time I took one run, one jog, I got cold, I got throat infection, I got everything. And then a kid in the kindergarten didn't help, and bad health and everything. So it took a while, and I've been trying, but it was just not the right moment. I think each time I tried to start up, my body was not ready. And each time also we learned more about my body. We talked with doctors, they did more tests. So in the end now, I hope we figured out everything in January. So now everything is set, and I tried to follow my plan. And in May, when I felt like that my whole body has been calmed down again, and I just started to try training, and I started with walking. So 1 to 2 times a week, just walking, and after walking to jogging and so on. I started really low-key, not like I did the other year, just like start with intervals and go. So, but I felt like some weeks I could run 2, maybe 3 times. And other weeks, still now, I am completely dead, but then I just rest of a week. Yeah. And there's no problem with that. I'm just trying to take it slow, and now I see that it took from May to now to get a routine of having 2 trainings a week. That's like my average, I would say. It's 2 trainings a week, and I'm super happy if I can do maybe 1 extra, it's fine. But I feel like my body still needs a lot of rest, because of course for the last 3 years I have not trained properly. Everything takes time, the muscle fibers. If you have a little bit bad health, you might need some more recovery like me. So now I feel like finally I have gotten somewhere, but it has taken 3 years to get back to this place I am at.
And a habit of training. Yes. I think it's like, in a way, very motivating, or at least very educational to hear that even a world champion has to start with walking. So I hope that people take this away with them, that like, okay, you don't have to start with like 5 training runs a week. Like, start slow, start with reasonable small goals, and then increase from that. Once you got the fitness, once you get a bit more into the habit, then increase the intensity of the activity.
Yes. And I keep on learning, because now I learned somewhere, like if you've been out for a long period, you should build up with 10% maximum every 1 to 2 weeks. That's not what I have been doing before. So now I've been trying to follow these advices also from other people, build up slowly. And like, we have one trainer in the national team who says like his goal is 5 years injury-free. I think that's the best thing I've ever heard. Never thought about that before. So it makes sense. And then like,
it's a way better goal than setting a new PR.
It's
boom. You thought about now a trainer, but do you actually have a trainer yourself who is making the trainings for you?
No, not at the moment. For many years ago, I did track and field, and I had a really good trainer. So I'm still using the same programs that we were using back then, and I know them all by heart, so I know basically how it works. But I also feel that sometimes it's nice to have a trainer. It's nice to have somebody that makes a training plan for you that you stick to. I very much respect when somebody makes a training plan for me, because I know somebody has put this time and effort in it. So I like to follow that training plan. But now I'm making it myself, and apparently I don't have as much respect for myself as I do for my trainer. But it really helps if you want to create a good habit is to write it down. I'm that type of person, like I need to have written it down on paper. If it stands there, then I will do it. If I just think it in my head and plan it ahead, it doesn't really work the same way. So you can do the same for yourself, your dogs, for daily life, is just to write it somewhere down. And plan in the whole month or 2 months ahead what they're gonna do, and then it's much easier to also adapt if you need to. To create a habit also, it's like you can have a habit, but sometimes you figure out something works better, so you can just tweak it a little bit here and there.
Yeah. For me, it's a game changer to have a trainer. I feel like with some things, I would be able to do it on my own, but that for some reason I just don't do it. And I feel it's also very often easier if I have other people to do things with. If my boyfriend is already going training, it's a bit easier to go out training. If I make an appointment or like a date with somebody to like, okay, we go running together, then it's a lot easier not to say no. Or like it's a lot harder to say no, because we had the appointment, it's a bit like, it's a bit embarrassing to just like give out last minute, especially when there is no reason apart from like, I just want to move.
That's also one of the reasons that I am trying to get back into a track and field club now, is because I miss, I am very good in being alone, but at the same time, it's very much easier to know like, all these people are going, and the social part also, like it helps to create good habits if you're in a social group. People pushing each other, motivating each other, inspiring each other. That's also stuff that I miss, because canicross and there's not so many people doing this here in Norway. Luckily, we have some people around us that are doing it, so we can invite each other. But at the same time, I feel like with track and field club, for example, they have like these set trainings every week that you can go to. It is so nice to go there. And I also bring my dogs to track and field training. I do the warm-up with them and the cool-down, so I'm trying to create good habits and bring them everywhere and make sure that they have had some movement, have done something. It doesn't always need to be hard training, but I can do both things. That if I love track and field, I love canicross, I can combine both in a way, like I can bring them in my cool down and everything, so they can be there. They can have had some exercise. And it's just also about being creative. I can find new ways to do something more efficient, better, over time. So it's really good to have good habits in life.
I think what you mentioned here with like taking the dogs along for the warm up and the cool down, it's sort of like habit stacking. So like you're already doing something, you will warm up and you will cool down. You just bring the dogs along. So it's like in a way you're building a new habit, at least for the dogs. And I think thinking like this, that's something you already do, and like either add to it a new habit that you want to achieve, or add into it, like in this case, that you actually include the dogs in the cool down. It makes a lot of things a lot easier. So for example, one of our colleagues tipped us about this, because I am not the best with checking my dog's paws. Like when I cut their clothes, obviously, but like before training and after training, I'm not the best. So for example, when you take off the harness, you will leave the dog's leg, at least the front legs, then take a look at the paw. It doesn't cost anything. It becomes after a while automatic, and you can either before training find it's like, oh, there is a small injury. Maybe I should then use a buddy, or maybe I should not train the dog today.
Yes.
Or afterwards, like, oh, here the paw became a bit worn. Maybe I should do something about it after training, or not train the dog, etc., etc. So these small, stacking habits on each other, this can be so useful.
I also think it helps because before I worked for a chemical company as a lab technician, and one of the things there, what we had to do was with every step you did, because some of the machines were dangerous to work with, was that you have to think, what am I doing now? Like, am I working safe? Are there maybe any improvements we can do? Like you have to be very in the moment, not just go on actually on automatic pilot, but this might help to improve stuff. And I still have this mindset because they were super strict on being safe all the time. So now, whenever I'm somewhere, I'm trying to think always like, okay, what can I do better now? Like, what should I do? Be like a little bit in the moment, even though like I said, habits is something that comes automatically and everything. Sometimes it's good to just like stop and think about these points, like, is there anything I could do better? Can I change anything? Like it's the same with checking the pause, like stop, what am I doing now? Like take a break and check over the dog. And there are so many things we can improve on all the time. But whenever we get into these habits also, it's very easy to get stuck and only see one way. So I think it's super nice also when people sometimes say like, hey, like you said, yeah, you should check the pause. Now I was thinking, no, I have not checked my pause in a long time. Your pause, like for the dogs, on my dog's pause. So then I'm like, yeah, maybe I should then I sometimes get too stuck in the routine. So maybe I should think about other stuff more actively. The same is also like with like finding new habits and getting a little bit like making the whole puzzle fit in daily life is because we have a kid. And of course now it's not so easy to just go out and train dogs anymore. So I have to be very creative in finding ways that the dogs can do something. And maybe that's not pulling training, but they at least have done something. So I try to like make the whole puzzle fit and constantly thinking about improving my routines and habits, and suddenly there's stuff I haven't thought about, and then suddenly like bringing the dogs to the cool down and the warm up is something that I'm not doing for such a long time. But then I suddenly thought like, okay, bring them. We are there, and there is a forest nearby. There's a jog there, and it's just so small stuff like this.
What happens if you fail to do one of your habits, or like you feel like that you're trying to build a new habit, but it's just like one day, for example, you didn't manage?
Yeah, I get a little bit usually angry at myself, but I am also a person that likes routine very much. So whenever something gets broken, I can get a little bit irritated, but I have to be also honest with myself and think like, okay, it's okay. Tomorrow there's a new day.
Oh. And I think, as you said in the beginning, it's just to start over the day after, but not try to catch up.
Yes. And the dogs are usually also very forgiving, like if you make a mistake, okay, it might take some days before you're back. It happens, but if you're persistent, it will come back. It's like also like with some of the habits, I am very strict, but my boyfriend at home, for example, doesn't do the same. So then I see when he has been taking care of that for a couple of days, I need to work a little bit as them again.
There are days when I think we can both relate when we're just like mentally or physically unable to do the plan, do the training, do the certain habits that we are building. What do you do then, especially like with the dogs when you cannot get out training? What do you do then?
I have been sick very often for the last 2 years, so my dogs also have learned that they're fine without anything for sometimes 2 to 3 days, because I just was so sick that I really couldn't literally not take care of myself. So then they have been super calm actually and very forgiving in a way. But I also have like friends and that can help me out. So if I'm really stuck, then I ask friends like, hey, could you come and help me out with the dogs? And people usually say yes. So it's also very normal to ask for help if you need help. So for me, that has worked at least. And like I said, the dogs are super forgiving. So whenever nothing was happening for 2 days, they were not crying or acting like crazy. They were just chilling in dog room. I feel also the more I train them, the more crazy they get. Yeah. So if I plan it, sometimes 2 days rest, they are super calm because that's their habit. That's what they're used to. But the more I train them, you're making an athlete out of them, we tell them. So then I am the same, like the more I train, I feel like, I could go and train every day. Yes. I come always at a certain point, like, if I manage to train more than 3 to 4 times a week, then I feel like, keep going today. But if I train less, then I'm also fine with an LD sprint.
I find it like interesting because I feel like maybe one of the first habits that we're teaching our young dogs at least is to chill. I think many puppies have to learn this, many dogs just have to learn this, that sometimes we just have to lay down and rest because they are like so on the whole day. And just as for athletes to like rest and recover, it's the same for dog athletes. They need to rest and recover. So I feel that also helps on these days that's like, okay, now you also like telling the dog that now you also just need to rest. But I feel like our dogs inside are just like laying all around. Also, I try to think outside of the box. Of course, I have my habits of like running and I have my habits of dog training. But okay, I can maybe do something inside or give them some like chew toy and some other type of activity. Just do a bit of strength training if I manage. Because first of all, it's more than nothing. Dogs actually benefit from like doing big something different. And I think it helps with also actually if you're building a habit of training, you can think of it as like, okay, building a habit of doing something with my dog. But then it's completely okay to do a bit of different activity as the dog, and you still felt like, okay, I did something with the dog. The habit was not completely broken. Of course, tomorrow, if I feel up to it, if I'm mentally and physically well enough, then I will try to do the running that I originally planned. But to adjust a bit the schedule and maybe even the habit, that's not such a wrong thing. And then in that sense, we can learn a lot from the dogs because I feel we're so much better with like, adjust the training to the dog's feelings because, maybe they feel a bit tired or it's a bit bored. While with ourselves, are a bit like, I have to push through whatever happens.
Yes. I'm very aware of my health now and rest and everything. So I can easily, if I've planned the training, change it to something easier or just skip it now. And also just, I also figured out that after a while, it's okay to do stuff that you don't like to do, but to build a habit also you need to be motivated to do it every day. So it's the easiest thing is actually to start with something that you actually like to do. Yes. So I don't like to run long distances. So that's not what I started with, of course, now. So I started with shorter distances, shorter intervals, and stuff like that, things that I like to do. Like, now also I started a little bit with sprint training again. It's because I really like to do this and it gives me the energy to keep continuing doing the rest of the training as well. So I think it's very important that you do something that that motivates you and to create and maybe help it in the end.
And also if it's maybe something that is hard to build and you are maybe not enjoying that at the moment so much, but you will benefit until later, reward yourself. Or also so good, again, with the dogs to like positive reinforcement, give them treats, give them toys, like after training, we're just like super happy you did a great job. And we're not the same with ourselves, so maybe we should learn from there as well and just, reward ourselves. Obviously, if you're trying to build a habit of, I don't know, not eating so much sweets, maybe don't use sweets as the reward. But I think it's like super nice to look at positive reinforcement for people as well. Like, yes, you did a great job.
Yes, and also if you're in a group, it's important to tell other people.
Yeah, I did a great job.
Like, for example, yesterday there was a new girl at training and I thought she was doing amazing. So I just told her. She was so happy and it doesn't cost anything.
Yes.
Now it's summer, the days are quite long, the sun is up for a long time. It's often pretty nice weather, not crazy cold, but sooner than later the cold months will be here. If people are starting with building a habit, it takes around 66 days actually to build a habit. So they will then start to get into those dark and cold autumn and winter days. How do you stay motivated to continue with the habits then?
Yeah, I think it's important to try to go and train also when it's still light outside, because the vitamin D gives you energy to keep doing what you like to do. So at my work at Nonstop Dogwear, for example, we have an orange hour. So we can train during the day whenever we want. We can take 1 hour and then we just work that hour in before or after our work. So we can go out when it is actually light, and that's super nice. And it's easier to get out when it is light. I always feel like after work, if I have to pick up my daughter from kindergarten, then I don't feel there's much time left to go and train, even though it's possible to train outside in the dark. I just feel I'm like the better weather runner, so I only run when it's sunny and not too warm, not too cold, and when I think it feels nice to be outside. I do have to push myself to go out sometimes when I don't, but I feel I am that kind of person. So it's I would try to catch some sunlight, as it's also super healthy and it will motivate you to continue training. But otherwise, it's okay to go and train indoors, train on a treadmill. I'm also not the biggest fan of running on a treadmill, but in winter, that's what we have. Just now we got access to indoor track nearby, so where the lights are on the whole evening, so that might help as well. I think that's my biggest tip, at least.
I think, here we are very lucky, first of all, since, we can train during the day in the winter. And also since, the ski tracks and the forest is just right outside the doorstep. So it takes a bit like less to get out, at least in time. But I feel also in energy, like to pack the car, get into the car, drive the car. That is like, it's takes a lot more. I actually like it here in Norway. We're pretty lucky with the snow. So I like to change from running to skiing. I feel like towards the end of the season, I am a bit like fed up with running. And then I look forward to skiing. Then once we have been skiing for quite some time, I get a bit fed up with skiing and just like really looking forward to running. So I feel it just keeps the motivation up. And it might be the same with the dogs. I think they're also very happy about the snow and to do a bit different activity. So even if you don't have the possibility to go skiing, I think it's completely okay to switch up a bit the activity, maybe do something indoors, try a new activity, like, I don't know, agility if you have a local club that is doing that. Or do some obedience, like, anything, just like to keep up the habit, at least to be active with your dog. It doesn't have to be running, and it doesn't necessarily have to be even walking if the weather is terrible and that takes like too much of an effort for you, because after a while it will become a habit, and then it doesn't matter anymore that like you need to get out. You will manage to get out, but if you just stick to in that interval, at that time I am active with my dog, it will become easier over time, I feel, even when it's dark and it's bad weather in the winter.
Yes, we also go a lot of skiing in winter, actually. We do a lot of classic skiing because the movement is similar to running, but at the same time different. So you're using different muscles, you're training a little bit differently. It helps also with getting less injuries. So I like to mix it up. In summer also I like to bike. I like to do a lot of different stuff.
Yeah. I also feel that like in the beginning of the winter and the end of the winter, when there are actually a few sunny hours right after work, it becomes almost a bit easier to get out because I'm so eager to just like get the most out of those maybe 1 hour or 45 minutes even, when the sun is still up and there is still a bit light out, that I don't get into this mood to like go home and just like sit on the couch and just melt onto the couch a bit and just watch some reels and like, one more and just postpone. Now in the summer, sometimes I go training at like, I don't know, 9, 10 because there is still light out. So it's just like, just a bit more. I will like, I don't know what I'm waiting for. I will not get more, I don't know, energetic or anything either way. So I think that is something that could be used very well in the beginning of building a habit, like actually setting up that like, at 5 o'clock today afternoon, I will go training, to like, then you have to stick to it. Of course, it's still you. So You can in a way postpone it, but I feel like it's a lot easier when you have like, okay, now at this time I have to go, instead of just like, okay, after work I will go training. Then
Yes.
you didn't really describe, you were not precise enough that like, okay, I want to do this. And it's the same with any other habit. Now, of course, here we have been talking a lot about training, a lot like with canicross and dogs. But even with like, I don't know, healthy eating, don't just say that like, okay, today I will eat healthy. But be very precise, like, okay, today, I don't know, half of my plate will be vegetables. Just be very like
Yes.
concrete and precise of what is that habit that you want to do. And yeah, again, like if we want to like just take away from this whole training scenario, and I don't know, like, yeah, you want to meditate, don't start with half an hour meditation. Just do 5 minutes. You'll be proud of yourself. You can reward yourself because like you did the habit. And then of course, after a while you can increase.
Yes. I think it really helps to just like make a plan, write things down. If it's written there, it's written in stone. Then you have to basically do it. So
It's
the
your
same
contract.
Yes, it's like a contract. It's there on paper. So for me, at least, it helps. And we also plan, like you say, with the dinners. We plan dinners. We buy recipes for the whole week. So I don't just run to the store and pick some vegetables and then make a plan afterwards. I order food ahead. We have like this amazing thing here in Norway where you can just order online recipes and then they just bring everything to make it.
Like the old ingredients.
Yes, so I think that's super nice because then I just choose healthy recipes, for example, and I know that we're gonna make this this week. Done. I don't have to think about it anymore. I don't have to think what I'm gonna make with those 100,000 vegetables I bought in the store. I think this is also a really good habit. You don't throw away as much food because you have planned everything in advance. So that's the same with training. Also, I really like to plan it in advance. You can always tweak or change it a little bit, but at least you have a plan.
Yeah.
That it's easy to follow, that's easy to stick to, and it also makes it just easier in the long run to create good habits.
And know why you're doing it. I feel that's also so important because both you and me, I think we genuinely enjoy running, even if it's
Yes.
sometimes very hard to get out. But if you don't enjoy running, like, don't do that.
No.
Find something else.
Yes.
I know like many dogs love running, but then you can take up, I don't know, bike sharing or scooter. There's just so many different activities and different things you can do. And sometimes you might be affected because it does look cool what that other person does. And like,
Yes.
oh, I wish I could be, I don't know, a runner or something. But you can, of course, try. But I feel like if after a while, if it doesn't give you satisfaction, just don't do it. Like, find something else. That's why I talked a lot about like, yeah, rather than to focus so much on like doing a certain type of training with the dog, just like, okay, be active with my dog, I don't know, for an hour every day. Like, and of course it should not start with 1 hour. It should start with, I don't know, just 15 minutes. If you have a dog, you should do a lot more with them than 15 minutes. But if you're trying to build a habit of something new, canicrossing, especially you cannot start canicrossing in 1 hour, like for 1 hour.
No.
It's a terribly long training session. So it's just like, stick to short intervals, stick to something you yourself like, or if it's a habit that you maybe don't enjoy that much but will benefit on the long term, then reward yourself with something that you do enjoy. So it's just like, I think to build a habit you need this like positive thing. That's what will make you crave it after a while, and that's how it will get automatic and you will get the feeling for it to like do it, because it does make you happy.
Yes.
Now we talked about habits a lot, and I really do hope that the listeners could get some good advice, at least if not anything else, that even a world champion has to start with like slow walks when they get back after an injury or a longer period of not doing a habit. Do you have a best tip or something that you really want to share with the listeners apart from the things that we talked about now?
it's just something we have already talked about. For me, just the motivation is key to everything. So if I'm not motivated to do something, I will not. I can push myself for a while to maybe do it, but in the long run, I will not continue doing it. Like now, also, I like I told you, I started back with a track and field club because I really need this.
Yeah.
I need to be social, be together with people. It really motivates me. Also, I like to do sprint, even though in canicross we're running 3 to 5K. That's actually not my distance at all. But I love to run with my dogs. Also motivating me, but at the same time, I have to motivate myself in other ways. So I like to do a little bit track and field and go to a little bit more sprint and stuff that I actually really enjoy doing. It's for kind of rewarding myself, like you said before.
Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing your tips and experiences with us.
You're welcome.
And well, as said, I very much hope that you could all learn a bit from our conversation today.